The Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Roerig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today, we got some news to cover related to Nintendo. We also have some stuff to look forward to on the horizon. And lastly, in our full spoiler segment, we are going to be talking about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. If you're expecting us to talk about The Last of Us, that's next week. We're taking a little bit of a break because Black Panther 2 finally came out on Disney+. And so we're going to talk about that this week, and next week we're going to get back to The Last of Us. But let's get started with our On Beat segment. On Beat. This week for our On Beat segment, we're focusing entirely on stuff related to Nintendo. We had two big Nintendo-related events happen this week. First, we had Nintendo's investors meeting, and then just today, the day we're recording this, we had Nintendo's recent Nintendo Direct event, and we're going to be talking about both of those, starting with the investors meeting. The big news is that Switch has passed the PS4 and the Game Boy to now be the third best-selling gaming system of all time at 122.55 million units. That's behind the DS at 154.02 million units and the PS2 at 155 million units. So it's not quite getting to that point. Will and I have talked about before, I don't think it's going to pass those systems. I think it's got a good 15 to 20 million tops units left to sell, basically.
Before it caps out. Yeah, I don't think it's going to get there, but man, that's still a hell of a run.
Yeah, I mean, third best, of all time. Best, if you count it as a console, it is the best Nintendo selling console of all time. If you just count Nintendo hardware, it's the second best Nintendo system of all time, and third best system of all time, period. So it's kind of got a lot of points there, Last time we talked about it, I think it was in 5th place or something, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now it's in 3rd. So it passed PS4 and Game Boy. That's big. Nintendo updated their top 10 worldwide sellers on Switch and also gave some details on some other games they put out that didn't quite make their top 10, but were, still significant stories. We're not going to go over the full list, but you wanted to talk a little bit about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet reaching 20.61 million.
Yeah, they did that in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
This only covers up to 6 weeks after Pokemon Scarlet Violet's release. It's at 20.61 billion, I believe. I checked, it's already like the 4th best-selling Pokemon game of all time. Currently, Sword and Shield is the 2nd best-selling Pokemon game of all time, and then Red, Blue, and Yellow is still the 1st best-selling. This is outpacing Sword and Shield's sales in the same period, and since that made it up to number 2, there's a real chance Pokemon Scarlet and Violet could dethrone Red, Blue, Yellow as the best-selling Pokemon game of all time, which will be crazy. Another interesting Pokemon sales figure is the fact that number 10 here is Pokemon Let's Go at 15.7 million. What's not here is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Sapphire, which apparently sales dropped off for that because Nintendo did not mention that. Then that means that it failed to sell like 1 million copies during the quarter. So it's interesting to see the bump for Pokemon Let's Go after so long, because that was the first Pokemon game that came out for the Switch all the way back in 2018.
Mm-hmm. The other notable thing, of course, we have to mention, number 1 is still Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It is now at 52 million. That's just a staggering number. It's still selling. It's still pretty much routinely in the top 10 from Nintendo as far as current sales.
A notable, another, big milestone is that all games in the top 10 are over 15 million sold.
Yeah.
Which is
numbers.
Crazy.
Some other ones that didn't make the top 10, but they're just big games that have come out since then. Pokemon Legends Arceus is at 14.63 million. That launched at the beginning of the year last year. Splatoon 3, which is new, is at 10.14 million. It is vastly outpacing Splatoon 2. Its speed of sale, so it's going crazy. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is at 1.82 million, vastly outselling what Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was doing at that time. Bayonetta 3 is at 1.04 million. This list isn't like from yesterday or the day before. I mean, it was capped off at like the very beginning of the year. So I think actually November, I think, is what these numbers are from. So those Bayonetta numbers are actually pretty decent. Bayonetta's never been like a huge seller. So
yeah,
that's
so
another thing.
Seeing Bayonetta 3 get over 1 million is a pretty good deal.
And Kirby and the Forgotten Land at 6.12 million.
Yes.
So those are the kind of the new games. The other thing is that we're really close to approaching. We probably already actually passed it. It's just that, like I said, the numbers are from like November, but we're really close to that 1 billion software units sold on the Switch, which is pretty crazy too. So big investors meeting thing. One other thing I forgot to put in the show notes, but Nintendo's profits were a little bit down year over year. The Switch is in decline. It's been out for 6 years, but Nintendo did raise the salaries of their employees despite having a lower revenue this year, which is good because inflation is a thing. That's it for the investors meeting. Now let's talk about the Nintendo Direct. This happened today as we're recording this. We're going to run through the entire Direct, but we're going to rush through most of it. We're only going to kind of hit on a few points where we're going to talk more specifically. The first game shown at the Nintendo Direct was Pikmin 4, which is going to be releasing on July 21st of this year. We got a lot of cool new stuff in this trailer, including a good boy.
Ice Pikmin. Oh yes, we got a doggo. We got a doggo friend who's going to help us break barriers, give us rides over water.
And help us dispose of nasty bodies that we've left behind.
Yes. And we got Ice Pikmin that could freeze things.
Oh, that lake freezing scene looks really cool. Like the look of that frozen lake was really cool.
That did. This is going to be so much fun. I had so much fun with Pikmin 3 on the Wii U. That I can't wait for this.
This game just looks surprisingly pretty too. It just, I mean,
it does.
It opened up on that bench and the textures on that bench were just sublime. It just looks so good. Can't wait to see some fruit show up in this game. It's got to be somewhere.
It's been worth the long wait for this game.
Then we got some footage for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC Waves 3 and 4. 4 being the story DLC that we knew was coming. Very brief footage was showing, not much. We got a new character with Wave 3. I'm excited to play some of that, but moving on, Samba de Amigo Party Central. This was leaked like the day before, I believe.
Yeah,
the Direct.
I saw the leaks earlier today. This is a sequel, a revival of the Sega Dreamcast property, which also got like a Wii version back in the day.
Yeah, it's coming out in summer.
This is a rhythm game where, the main character is a monkey, shaking maracas, and you use motion controls to like move to rhythm.
Yeah. Next up, we got Fashion Dreamer coming in 2023. And then we have Dead Cells Return to Castlevania DLC coming on March 6th. I know you're a Castlevania fan. Are you excited for this one?
Yeah, I am. I've never played Dead Cells though, so like, I don't know, but it looks cool. I'll check it out.
Then we got, for some reason, we got a Tron game. Tron Identity is coming in April. And then probably the first big kind of surprise of the Direct was Ghost Trick Phantom Detective coming in summer. This was a beloved DS game. It's pretty iconic. It's one of those things where, like, even if you never played the game, never even heard of it, you've probably seen the main character in something or another,
Yeah, exactly.
It actually looks kind of cool. I might check this one out when it hits in summer. And then we got a new game from Level 5 called Deca Police, which is one of my top picks. One of the things I'm most excited about from this Direct. It just has a really cool look to it. It looks like it's got some kind of like Ace Ventura, like that era of Capcom, like Game Boy Advance DS game detective aspects to it. And then it also has like RPG, like fighting mechanics and some like open world exploration stuff going on. I think it looks really cool. And that's coming in 2023. We got another trailer for Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon coming on March 17th. Still looks good. No real new information. We got some stuff from Splatoon 3 and their new paid DLC. We see Wave 1 is coming in spring and it's just the lobby from the first game. It was the weirdest thing. When we were watching it, we were texting back and forth and it was like, why? It was kind of our reaction, I believe.
Why? Yeah, I don't know.
And then Wave 2 has like a total vibe, but we really don't know what it's about. It's like you said, it's probably a single player campaign. It just had a really cool vibe and then they didn't show anything of actual gameplay player, anything to give you any idea what it's going to be. Besides the wintry vibes.
Yeah, exactly.
We got a trailer for Disney Illusion Island. Is this something we've seen before? I don't remember.
We've seen this before. This was announced already. It's just more gameplay of something we knew about.
2D side-scroller. If you're into Disney characters and like 2D platformers, this might be up your alley. That's coming on July 28th. We got information on Fire Emblem Engage DLC Wave 2, which is going to include more emblems, as well as something called the Fell Xenologue story. So it's got a story campaign as well being added to it. And that was released today. This is the first of the big shadow drops.
Yes.
Of which there are many. Then we got Harmony, The Fall of Reverie. It's a cyberpunk narrative, about multiple worlds. That game's coming in June. It's pretty gorgeous looking. It's from the original creators of Life is Strange that have since left Square Enix and started up their own little thing, and this is like their first game.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting. We got Octopath Traveler 2. Nothing really new shown except that they released a demo with carryover save progress. The demo is released today. The game comes out February 24th. We got a reveal of We Love Katamari. This was what was the original platform for We Love? Was that a PS2?
Yeah, it was PS2.
This was a really, beloved entry in this franchise in general, not just because the franchise itself was beloved. But I know some people were really excited about this.
It was the second game in the Katamari series, so it's the direct sequel to Katamari Damacy.
And that's coming on June 2nd. We got another trailer for Sea of Stars. Again, nothing really new showing. It's a great-looking game. We just haven't really seen anything new.
It got a demo shadow drop today. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's coming out in August.
On August 28th. Then we got Omega Strikers, which is like a free-to-play, soccer, kind of arcadey soccer game. That's coming on April 27th.
Yep.
Then we got Etrian Odyssey Collection. This is the first 3 games in the Etrian Odyssey series coming on June 1st. Remastered. Yep. Looks great. I'm not really terribly interested in the franchise, but it looks really sharp and clean. I can say that at least for it. That's that RPG series where you have to map everything out as you go.
It's got auto mapping in this.
Yeah, that's the new edition.
That's really cool. So it got some quality of life features, but yeah, they're old school style dungeon crawlers, really old school style. But apparently they got great stories and people are into them, releasing a lot of them, so.
Yeah, that is coming on June 1st. It's a collection, physical, and then the 3 games are being sold separately on the eShop. Then we got Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp is now going to be coming out on April 21st. The war is over. Peace in Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's releasing a year after it was supposed to release, because I believe it was supposed to release April last year before they announced the delay. So weird. Yeah. But, it's not dead. It's coming out. So, good news.
On April 21st. Then, on February 24th, Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe is coming out. And we got a new trailer that showed a new epilogue, story mode in the game called the Magalore Epilogue.
Yeah, starring Magalore, which looks like fun. I never played Return to Dreamland, so that'll be fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got some big news.
This is probably the biggest news of the event. It surprised people, and it's funny because I've since watched some people that were reacting to the Direct, and almost every single person said the exact same thing when this came out, which is it starts out, it shows NSO is getting an update, and they show Game Boy, and they started showing Game Boy games that are going to be coming to Nintendo Switch Online, like The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, Tetris, Super Mario Land 3. They started showing all that stuff, and every single person I saw reacted to it was like, oh, watch us, they drip feed one of these every 4 months or something. That ended up very much not so being the case. But the games they revealed were, as I said, Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX, Tetris, Super Mario Land 2, Gargoyle's Quest, Game & Watch Gallery 3, Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, Wario Land 3, Kirby's Dream Land, and then those are all for the launch of the Game Boy coming to NSO.
Yes.
And then we also got the reveals that coming down later down the pipeline, we have The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons, The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, the Pokemon trading card game, and Kirby Tilt and Tumble. When is the launch for this? Today.
Today. It's our Shadow Drop. Surprise.
But it wasn't just that. That's just Game Boy on the regular Nintendo Switch Online, and that wasn't all they had. Game Boy Advance for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass was also announced. And again, today, Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3 with the e-reader level add-ons.
Yeah.
WarioWare Inc., the first WarioWare game, Kurun, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Zelda Minish Cap, which I've never played and heard amazing things about.
Oh, Minish Cap is great. I had that game. I played it and beat it on my GBA.
That's what I'm going to have to look into. And then coming later to the Game Boy Advance service, Metroid Fusion, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, Fire Emblem, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, and Golden Sun, which people were freaking out about Golden Sun. There's a certain audience for that game that's absolutely, absolutely in tears now because of this. So good news for them. And yeah, all that are almost all of that. Like I said, some of that's coming out later. Almost all of that out today, right now. All that stuff's out. So finally a reason to get the NSO expansion pass. If that wasn't enough for the retro nerds out there, Metroid Prime Remastered.
Oh my god. This was a highlight for me. I love Metroid Prime. I know the rumors have been going around of this existing for a while now.
About 3 years, give or take.
But we finally have it, and guess what? It was a shadow drop.
Yeah, it's out now with multiple control schemes, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, it's interesting because it has the original GameCube control scheme. It has a new dual analog control scheme that doesn't require you to hold. That doesn't require you to hold the shoulder button to switch controls, and it has a pointer control option like a gyro like Metroid Prime. Yeah. It has no pointer controls. It has pointer controls like Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Wii.
Well, I know it also has gyro controls like Splatoon style, like where it's gyro assisted dual analog.
But it has pointer controls.
It has both, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, people have been expecting this for about 3 years. Like I said, that's when the rumors were picking up on this. And that's coming. Or not coming. That's out today. Shadow drops.
A physical copy is coming on the 22nd, but if you want to get digital, it's today.
Yep. Then we got another trailer for Master Detective Archives Rain Code, which is coming on June 30th. Really nothing new in this trailer. No new information. But then we got another retro remaster, Bite Kaitos 1 and 2, the Monolith Soft games. This is what they made before they did Xenoblade Chronicles, is coming in summer. The two games packaged together. This is a card-based RPG system about a floating island in the sky. It's really beloved for its era GameCube game. Something I never really got around to just because the voice acting was so atrociously bad. Thankfully, that voice track seems to be gone from what you told me about the info sheet that Namco put out. So that's good news too.
Yeah, there you go. Good news.
We had mentioned earlier in this discussion about a game called Deca Police, and that game is done by Level 5. Well, Level 5 had two other games that they showed at this Direct as well. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, the next game in the Fantasy Life series, and a new Professor Layton game called Professor Layton and the New World of Steam.
So one of the big stories this Direct is Level 5 is back in the West. They're back big time. They announced 3 games at this Direct. It was shocking to see, really. Seeing all these games, especially seeing like a new Fantasy Life, a new Professor Layton, because those franchises have been missing for a while.
Yeah, there's a necromancer on the loose. Look out, Midway might be next.
yeah, really.
There's a video game publisher necromancer on the loose, raising companies from the dead. Then we got a trailer for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 4. It didn't show us a lot of the tracks. It showed us a new Yoshi's Island track that looks like super detailed, much more so than most of the courses we've gotten in the Booster Course Pass. And then also they're adding another character with this wave, Berta.
Yeah. So this is the first character they've added with the DLC, which is interesting. And they've also stated in a press release that future expansion pass is going to bring even more classic Mario Kart characters to Mario Kart 8. So we're now getting new characters in addition to new courses, which is awesome. It makes this expansion pass even better than previously announced.
And this expansion pass Wave 4 is coming in spring. This was the only track they showed from it, was the Yoshi's Island one. We'll get another trailer, I'm sure, just drop somewhere out of nowhere, like most of them have, that show the rest of the courses that are going to be coming to Wave 4 of this DLC. But yeah, all I'm saying is I'm still saying that we better get the Rainbow Road from the Mario Kart movie that's coming out.
Yes, exactly.
That needs to show up in one of the waves, you know? Maybe Wave 5, I don't know. After that, we got a sizzle reel that covered a bunch of games coming out. Most stuff we mostly knew about. One that I have to ask you if we've heard about this yet, because I didn't know about it. Minecraft Legends is coming on April 18th. Blanc is coming on February 14th. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection is coming on April 14th. Is this new? Did we know about this before?
We knew about that.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we've known for a while.
Have a Nice Death, which I've heard good things about, is coming on March 22nd. WBSC eBaseball Power Pros is coming out today. It's another shadow drop. This is Konami making games again.
Well, it's
publishing games again.
Oh, it's a Konami franchise. It's a really old Konami franchise. Dates back to the Famicom. So
it's not a series we see that often in the US, though. I don't think so.
No, it's more like really popular in Japan.
This is a franchise that I see pop up constantly. I didn't do it this time, but I used to, whenever we would cover like a direct or something, I'd go through the Japanese direct and see what, little things showed up in that didn't show up in it. And this is one of the franchises that always shows up in those Japanese directs.
Speaking of the Japanese direct and what is and isn't coming to Japan, apparently Advance Wars was not in the Japanese direct, and I was reading around it. Apparently because Advance Wars is not coming out in Japan.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, this version of Advance Wars, this remake is being done by a Western studio, so.
Right.
But that's still a little weird.
That's still a little weird, yeah.
Also in the sizzle reel, we got Disney Dreamlight Valley is getting a new Realm update in April, and Tales of Symphonia Remastered is coming out on February 17th. That's all stuff we already knew about. And then they ended the direct. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah, they said Tales of Symphonia. Look forward to that. Bye.
Yep. Everybody tuned out, and then once everybody was gone, they showed one more trailer. And that was the new trailer for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is still coming out on May 12th. There were a lot of people predicting a delay. I think it's pretty much set in stone that it's not going to be delayed now. Getting this only a few months out, I think they have to already have printed all their press materials, and I doubt this game is going to get a delay now, so that's good news. But yeah, we got a little bit of new information in the trailer. Still not terribly much. It's still pretty vague about what this game is, We don't know a terrible lot about this game yet, and I think, it's pretty obvious we're going to get some kind of event right before the game comes out, like a big hands-on event of some sort where some press gets to try it out and stuff, I'm sure, and some kind of events online for us as well to learn about this game. But yeah, new trailer, looked great, still pretty vague.
Yeah, still pretty vague, but it's interesting that Link's got vehicles now.
Yeah, like these weird ancient looking kind of clunky vehicles.
I wonder if you construct them with material around the area.
That would be kind of cool.
That'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting mechanic. You're just using magnesis with your new arm to put these vehicles together.
There did seem to be some, we've mentioned before when we've talked about this game when they've done trailers, there seems to be some kind of a time manipulation ability, or at least a few time manipulation abilities that have been added to this. We saw that again, very briefly in the trailer. There was a clip of him kind of rewinding time and something resetting. Kind of looked like the way that works in the Bayonetta games when you come across one of those time things.
Yes.
It kind of looked a little bit like that, but there's other time abilities that we've seen in other trailers as well, so. And also, every trailer they put out for this game has parts that are clearly something's being recorded backwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the backwards recorded dialogue.
Yeah.
That appears there. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what that's about. So, yeah, again, this trailer did not answer any questions, just invited more mysteries.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was the Nintendo Direct. What would you rate this Nintendo Direct? What was this Direct for you?
For me, it's a B. It's a solid B. Cause we got some good stuff here. I'm genuinely excited about. I mean, we got the full trailer for Pikmin, a gameplay trailer for Pikmin 4 plus release date. We got the Game Boy Online plus Game Boy Advance. We got the Metroid Prime remaster, Bot and Kaitos 1 and 2 remaster, which was a complete surprise. Like, happy to see that. We got the Zelda trailer. I mean, really, like, what, there's not much here to complain about.
Yeah, I'd say it's a C for me just because there wasn't much new. Like, it was a lot of remasters. It was trailers for stuff we've already seen. There were like maybe 1 or 2 games that we didn't know about.
Right.
Which, like, I liked the Direct. I enjoyed it. But after like thinking about it for a bit, I'm like, yeah, it's about a C for me. Like, there's nothing like bad really. It's just that it's, a lot of old stuff. Still good stuff, but old stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that's about what I'd rate it. But yeah, it's still good. It's kind of exhausting. Did you almost feel like a little bit exhausted by the end? 58 games.
Yeah, there's a lot of games shown. I did not feel exhausted, but yeah, there's a lot of games shown off. I mean, that just shows how successful the Switch has been.
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct during the Wii U era would not have 58
games. It was like 3 games and they'd be spacing them out as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd be bringing in all the shovelware games into there too, just to flush it out a little bit. Don't forget Barbie's Horse Adventures too.
Yeah, exactly.
Glad we're out of those days. But yeah, so that is it for our On Beat section. Now we're going to move on to On the Horizon.
On the horizon. On the horizon.
On the Horizon is where we talk about stuff coming up in the next week or so, just what's coming out. So first up, we have Wanted Dead coming out on Tuesday, February 14th on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. Looks good. It's an interesting looking game. Red Rose is a British horror series about a malevolent phone app that is coming on Wednesday, February 15th to Netflix. Star Trek Picard is returning on Thursday, February 16th to Paramount Plus. Our apologies to Koenig. Animal Control is a new workplace comedy about animal control, and it stars Joel McHale. That is coming on Thursday, February 16th to Fox. Animaniacs is returning to Hulu on Friday, February 17th as well. Carnival Row, the second and final season, is coming on Friday, February 17th to Amazon Prime. Hello Tomorrow, which is about a timeshares on the moon business. It stars Billy Cudrup and Hank Azaria. That is coming on Friday, February 17th as well to Apple TV+. Sharper, which is a movie coming to Apple TV+, is about con artists targeting New York billionaires, and it stars Sebastian Stan, Julianne Moore, and John Lithgow. Also on February 17th, Friday, Tales of Symphonia Remastered comes out on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Wild Hearts comes out on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out in theaters on Friday, February 17th. That is our On the Horizon segment, and that leaves only full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we're finally going to be talking about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
So I saw this a while ago in theaters, but you didn't get a chance to watch it until just recently. What are your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts?
Okay. My initial thoughts was like, it's a good movie. It's fun. It's a spectacle. What struck me is like, this is the most spectacle of the Wave 4 Marvel films, because it's all about these big, wide, sweeping shots of these gorgeous landscapes. You got Wakanda, and you got the kingdom of Talokan. I don't know, I was always going to butcher the pronunciation. I'm sorry. And it's really about like the conflict between these two kingdoms. And so you got, on the one hand, you got Shuri and the Wakandans, and you got Namor and the Talokans.
The Talokanians.
And like, they're just these powerful forces. There's just like a lot of people. So there's like these big set pieces involving like a lot of people at once. The scale is grand, far grander than anything in Wave 4. And that's what struck me.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the closest would probably be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Even then, that's
Spider-Man,
like
Spider-Man was a big movie because it
personal.
had all the characters and stuff, but it was pretty central as far as like set pieces and stuff. There were only a few big set piece moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, this had a lot of big moments, a lot of big water.
Yeah, a lot of big water. Yeah.
It's also one of the longer MCU movies. I think this might be one of the longest.
Clocks in like almost a full 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah, I think Endgame might have been longer. I'm not sure. I don't know the numbers.
I would have to check. I haven't memorized the runtime of like all the movies.
Yeah, definitely. But it is one of the longest of the MCU movies. It's kind of bookended by these big like kind of moments to honor kind of Chadwick Boseman. Like it starts off with the Marvel logo that's entirely Chadwick Boseman focused.
The entire film is a love letter to Chadwick Boseman, and you can tell.
Yeah, in a sense, it kind of reminds me of, remember the last season of The Magicians? How like Quentin was gone, he left in the season before, but like you could kind of feel his presence throughout.
Yes.
It's similar in this, where it's like Chadwick Boseman isn't in this movie at all, but you feel his presence throughout the entire thing.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and you have it bookended by, because you have the opening Marvel logo, which is entirely really cool. Chadwick Boseman focused and silent as well.
It was silent. Yeah, there was no like doot. They forewent that. It was a really nice tribute.
And then it ends with we're getting a little ahead of myself, but just to bring up the point, it ends with us meeting T'Challa's son.
Yes.
And who's also named T'Challa, who's being raised by Nakia outside of Wakanda. And you have this, it's just a very hopeful ending of the idea of like, we still have a T'Challa, it's just not the same T'Challa.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So it was a very cool ending. Kid that looked like they could have went back in time and grabbed Chadwick Boseman as a child.
There was a similarity, yeah.
Yeah. So they had this really kind of touching moments for that. And then the path between those moments is heavily about Shuri, mostly dealing with anger. Yeah, I think it was an interesting choice to have it not be as much about grief. I mean, there's grief in there, but to mostly be about her dealing with anger about what's happened.
Well, yeah, the way they did it is surprising because they made the decision to tie Chadwick Boseman's absence to Shuri's story of this because they open up with T'Challa is dying from some disease that they don't elaborate on what it is that he's dying from. And Shuri is frantically trying to come up with a cure to save him.
She's trying to synthesize what is that called? The herb or whatever?
The heart.
That's it, the heart. She's trying to synthesize the heart, thinking that that's her last chance to try to save him, and it's not working.
Yeah.
And then she skips out. She's kind of advised at a last moment, like, this is your last chance to go and see him. He's almost gone. You should go and see him. And she's like, no, it's almost done. I'm gonna finish. And then her mom approaches her. Queen Ramonda approaches her and says he's gone.
He's gone. And this leads into Shuri not only feeling grief, but feeling angry. She's angry at herself for not being able to save him.
She's angry at the world.
There's the one scene where she's like talking to Namor and she's saying, I have all these gifts. I'm a gifted scientist. I have all this technology. And even using all that, I cannot save T'Challa. And she asks, so why do I even have these gifts? Why do I have these gifts if I couldn't use them to do the thing that was most important?
Yeah. That's the central plot of this entire movie is relayed around that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's her journey through this film. I mean, she just suffers an additional blow when Namor attacks Wakanda and drowns her mother.
Yeah, 2 deaths in kind of quick succession. And you have that kind of moment because she refuses to burn her funeral garb from T'Challa's funeral. She's not ready to do it. And she's very, her mom's like, oh, I've seen your brother over my shoulder, supporting me and stuff. And she's like, that's in your mind.
Yeah.
Because Shuri's a scientist, And she's like, that's in your mind. That's not real, And she refuses to burn her funeral garb. She's not willing to let go until her mother dies. And then she's got that same funeral garb. She has to wear it again, and she has to decide now to finally let things go. And she's still not done with her anger. That still continues throughout past that point. To the point where it almost looks like she's going to make the wrong choice.
It's her anger that leads her to synthesize the heart, this time a working one, and become the new Black Panther. She does that out of a desire for vengeance allegiance more than like any desire for duty.
There's a cool surprise cameo in this movie related to that.
Because the Black Panther, when they're becoming a Black Panther, they see like the previous Black Panthers, and I think when she's expecting to see T'Challa, and she doesn't. She sees Killmonger instead.
Yeah, and he is like, hey, little cuz. He refers to T'Challa as being, like, honorable, but, like, you know, kind of with the implication of being weak, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want to be honorable like your brother, or do you want to get shit done like me?
Yeah, exactly. Basically asking, are you more like your brother, or are you more like me?
And it seems to kind of imply she's leaning towards being like Killmonger.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it's going. And I think, in a way, she had made that choice, and it's only kind of a snap decision at the end that changes the course of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They have a big fight between Namor and her that's like a big vicious fight. She gets impaled, survives, pulls herself off of it. She's like slashed his little ankle wings. She's
she's got him into a state where he's weakened because he's dehydrated.
Mm-hmm. And his life is in her hands, like literally. And she's like right on the edge of about killing him. And she remembers, I think it's something her mother said about showing him who she is, you know? And that's when she tells him to yield and, you know, make peace. And that's how the movie ends. It doesn't end with one side winning the battle. It ends in the sides agreeing to stop, which is kind of interesting. It's a very, like, Black Panther thing to do. It's not something I think you'd see in kind of one of the other MCU movies, which would end more with an actual conclusion to events, you know?
Right.
And this kind of ends with, like, what are we doing? We need to stop this, you know?
It ends with a truce. The story from Namor's side here is basically, obviously Wakanda has vibranium. They're not sharing it with the world. So the major powers are looking for other sources of vibranium, and they hit upon it with Talokan.
Yeah, they find some in the
ocean.
Thanks to they have a machine that's able to figure out where vibranium is. A machine made by one Riri Williams, who becomes part of the story as well.
Yes. Ironheart becomes part of the story because, she made the machine that could detect vibranium. And there's this whole subplot where Shuri has to get her and take her to Wakanda before the U.S. authorities can get to her.
Or the Talakans who want to kill her.
Yeah, or the Talakans who want to kill her. Yeah, exactly. So the Talakans are, and Namor is like seeing, these incursions into his kingdom from the outside world. And he wants Wakanda to join him and fight these things off. But he doesn't just want to keep people out. He wants to actually launch a full-scale attack on the rest of the world.
It's kind of like Killmonger in the first Black Panther movie.
Yes.
Like, he wants to take a drastic action and, like, reshape society as we know it.
Yeah,
Conquer the outside world.
And he wants Wakanda to help him in that, but Shuri's not on board with that idea. And so Shuri's refusal to offer Wakanda's assistance to him, that leads to him attacking Wakanda.
Mm-hmm. And killing her mom, and yeah.
Yeah, that's where that's the crux of the central conflict of the film.
Yeah. We mentioned Riri Williams. I think that's probably the biggest weak point of the movie.
Uh-huh.
I could kind of do without that entire subplot.
She doesn't really have much to do. Like, she participates in,
she's just kind of there.
The big battle. But yeah, she's kind of there. It's definitely one of those things that Marvel movies do where they're introducing and setting up characters for their own spin-offs, which we already know she's getting her own Disney Plus series.
It's like the Ragnarok Vision and Age of Ultron, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, why is this in here, you know? Like,
it's in there for future material, basically.
Yeah. That's probably like the weakest point. I don't want to dwell too much on that storyline because it just kind of was a bit dull. We also got a lot with Everett Ross as well, who was a big part of the first Black Panther movie.
Yeah.
He's again part of this. And we also get Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character.
Yeah.
And we find out she's got a history with Everett Ross, that they used to be married.
They used to be married.
So that was kind of a little interesting wrinkle. I like that she played him too. That like he got to the scene and was trying to cover up for Wakanda, but what the stuff he found that he was trying to cover up was planted by Valentina.
He thought she didn't know, and she played dumb just well enough for him to think he got away with it. And then, like, at the end, like, she dropped the bomb on him that she knew.
I think that's what I wanted more of, I think, in this movie, was not necessarily just those two characters, but just the other side of the conflict that they're setting up, that Namor is worried about and trying to initiate, and that, you know, the Wakandans are dealing with him. One of the first scenes you see is Ramonda, Queen Ramonda, addressing, like, a UN council about, like, the French
about
government.
Vibranium while they're,
having invaded, trying to steal from Wakanda.
Which they show, like, which they show, like, at the beginning of the soldiers trying to infiltrate Wakanda and take their vibranium.
Yeah, it's like they set up the idea of, like, the outside world versus the hidden world, and Wakanda being this part of the hidden world that's come out into the public, and Talokan being this part of the hidden world that hasn't yet come out to the public. And then you have this conflict because of that between Talokan and Wakanda, but the other big player is the outside world that's learning about them and that wants their resources and stuff. And they set it up like that's kind of what they're pursuing or where they're going with some of this. And they don't really stick enough with it, I don't think, to really
We don't spend enough time with the outside world. But then again, it's a long enough movie as it is.
I just wish that some of that Riri Williams time had been devoted to that instead, you know? That part of the story. Because I think it would have been a bit more interesting, you know? But yeah, I mean, I had mixed thoughts about this movie in the same way I had mixed thoughts about the first Black Panther movie, which is that in one hand, I'm really happy because representation does matter. It matters a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that Black people would be able to look up to like a figure like Black Panther and go, I'm seen, I have somebody that represents me, is so important and so cool. And I think that's amazing. But I think it's like a B or C tier Marvel movie or MCU movie, you know? It was never one of the better ones as far as how it's integrated into the larger MCU, as far as how much it interested me personally. It's the same thing here, and not only do we have the Wakanda representation, but what do you think? You're more of a comics fan than I am. Like, I really only knew about Namor from, like, videos talking about him.
I mean, like, he's great in this movie. I don't know, like, I'm not gonna
What do you think about the change? I mean,
I'm not gonna, you know what, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I can see why they went a different direction with it, because DC, Warner Brothers has Aquaman, they have Jason Momoa, maybe somebody new now because they're rebooting everything. They have Atlantis. If Marvel comes in with basically a carbon copy of that, with a guy from Atlantis that talks to fish, it's gonna look lame. It's gonna look like very much like, regardless of what the actual comic book history is, like...
Yeah, because Namor was first.
Mainstream people do not care.
Yeah.
They care, like, they watched a movie about Aquaman, and now Marvel has copycat Aquaman.
I mean, even before the movie, if like 10 years ago you were to ask people, who's Aquaman, most people would know, oh, he's like some comic book character. And if you were to say, who's Namor, they'd go, huh?
And so, like, changing it to, like, make it more unique, make it more of its own thing, I think it's a great move. It makes it more interesting, too.
And it serves an additional purpose of, it's very interesting that it came into fruition in a Black Panther movie because it's also, like, an aspect of representation.
Yeah.
And Talokan isn't represented as, like, a villainous force. They're represented as, like, kind of anti-heroes. Like, they're these figures that, you know, they have a point, you know, they have a right to their own survival. They have their own struggles and stuff. They're not played off as some villainous evil plan, you know, like people just making a grab for power. These are people trying to survive in their own environment. And so in doing that, they kind of take an opportunity to turn what would have just been more like white people mythology into further representation, you know? And that includes the casting. I mean, they casted actors in these roles that are kind of not really that well known in like Hollywood, you know?
Exactly.
Tena Cuarta, who plays Namor, he's in a lot of movies in Latin America and stuff. He's just not known in the US. And so that's like, it kind of gives an opportunity for that, which is cool as well. But it's the same situation, the same issue I had with Black Panther. It's like, I'm happy about the representation. I think the changes they made are good. I'm happy about them. I think they work. I just don't necessarily feel like the movie is really something that I'm as interested in. I kind of, more than anything, I just enjoyed it as like a catharsis of dealing with the whole Chadwick Boseman situation.
I thought the movie was solid.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fine. It's not in my top tier at all. And like I said, for me, the biggest thing this movie served to do was a catharsis for dealing with Chadwick Boseman's death.
Right.
Which I think it did extremely well in that regard, you know? Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about with the movie?
No, I think we covered all the bases.
Yep. So that is Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the last movie in Phase 4. So we have our first Phase 5 movie coming out later this month. So that's exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's it for full spoilers in our discussion of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And that means it's also it for our podcast this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. Will is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. Inside, you'll find container stories for all of our podcast episodes. If you open up one of those container stories, you'll find all the relevant links to our SoundCloud page, everything else, the RSS feed for the podcast. Anything you need, it's all in there. Or you can just look us up on any service where you get your podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Podcasts, whatever you use to get your podcast, you can just look us up. We are OnScreen Podcast, so look that up. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen Podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.